Hey everyone, and welcome back to our podcast, Star Confessions. I'm Makayla.
And I'm Maddie, and today we have Kacey with us. Kacey, do you want to give us like a quick bio of who you are and what you do?
Hi, my name is Kacey Fifield. I am a singer-songwriter and also an actress. And I'm based in New York City. I'm originally from Los Angeles, but I'm here for college. And my main thing is kind of writing my own songs about my kind of personal experiences. I love doing live shows, releasing my music, all of that.
That's amazing. Well, we're so excited to hear more about that today. So, to start off, like our podcast, Star Confessions, we want to hear two confessions from you.
So one's going to be true and one's going to be false. You have to
Oh,
get people like digging and see what they can find.
okay. Um, First confession is that I write all my songs about my own personal life.
Okay.
Second confession is that I wrote oh, that's also about my songs.
It's okay.
Second confession is that I have never been inside a Costco.
Ooh,
Oh.
okay. Well, our audience is going to have to do some digging and they're going to leave their comments down below. So, make sure to guess which one you think is true and which one you think is false. So, moving into some questions, how old were you when you started singing, and how old were you when you started acting?
Well, I've kind of always been singing and acting my entire life. When I was little, I would love watching Disney shows, Nickelodeon shows, and I'd always be singing the theme songs from those shows and also kind of recreating the scenes. But I first got into voice lessons when I was about 9, 10, and I first started taking acting lessons when I was about 7-ish. And I actually began acting in my first projects when I was 8. And then through acting, I kind of got the opportunity to record my first song when I was 10, and it was because a music producer saw videos of me singing on Twitter, and I had liked one of his tweets about his new song, and he was like, "Oh wait, I have a song that is like called When I Grow Up that should be sung by someone like your age, and I feel like you'd be a good fit." So then I started working with him, and from there I kind of started writing my own music and getting more into my artistry.
Wow, that's amazing. What show were you on when you were 8? Your first project?
My very first project was a short film called The Cynicism of Harvey K. But I think a lot of people probably know me from Kids React and those types of things. And they also did Nickelodeon spin-off. And I was on another Nickelodeon show called Game Shakers. I was on some like true crime recreation shows, which were kind of funny because I was playing like the younger version of serial killers and stuff. I was also in like a bunch of random commercials, just kind of all over the place.
That's so cool. It sounds like you have like a whole childhood of acting. How was that?
It was a lot of fun, honestly. I feel like in the entertainment industry, a lot of people have very bad experiences. So I'm very fortunate that in general my experiences were good. Of course, I still encountered some unsavory characters because I think that a lot of people who are in acting tend to have very big personalities, and that can sometimes mean that they're amazing or sometimes they can be not the nicest. But overall I'd say my experience was pretty good. Definitely look back on it very fondly.
That's good.
So you say you write your music. Do you write all of your music? How does that process kind of work for you?
Yeah, so my first song, When I Grow Up, was written by the producer I worked with, but then kind of after that, I started writing all of my own music. My second song was called California, and it's still out there somewhere. If you listen to it, you can very much tell it was written by a 10-year-old. But I like the fact that I've written all this music and released all of it because then you can look back and kind of see how I've developed over the years. Hopefully, I'm a much better songwriter now than I was back then.
And do you have like a favorite song that you like always tend to sing? Like say you're going to karaoke. Do you have like a go-to song that you pick?
I think my go-to for karaoke is probably Still Into You by Paramore. I love that song. It's very fun, very high energy, and most of my friends love it too, so it's just a good time. And I'll also do a lot of Hamilton songs at karaoke. I had a crazy Hamilton phase in middle school, but it's so fun to sing them in karaoke still.
That's so funny. So what's your favorite song that you've written?
This one's always tough because it's like picking a favorite child. Um, but I do have a favorite. I have a lot of favorites that are not out yet. Those tend to be my favorites because they're the ones that I've written most recently, so I feel like they're the strongest. But one song that's out that I always tend to go back to is Self-Sabotage, which is just a very personal song to me, and also a lot of my friends love it, so it's really fun because they'll like start singing it with me, and I'm like, wow, like you really like the song that I wrote.
Aw, that's so sweet. So you have like a good supportive friend group around you that are like hyping up your songs.
Yeah, definitely. I actually played a show on Monday in Brooklyn, and some of my friends from college came and supported. And when we were doing self-sabotage, they were like singing along, like screaming the lyrics. It was so fun.
I
Wait,
love
that's so
that.
cool. Wait, okay, I should come to one of your shows because I'm also in New York.
Awesome. That's
Yeah.
so cool.
Yeah. So definitely we'll talk and I'll go to one of your shows.
Do you do any shows that like outside of New York? Are you traveling?
My main all my shows so far have been either in LA or New York. So I'm playing the Troubadour in LA March 11th, which is super exciting because that's a very iconic venue. But I'd love to go to other places, other cities. It's just kind of a question of the audience. I get people who are like, "Oh, like come to Florida, come to Chicago, come to the UK." I'm like, I literally would love to, but if you're like the only one that's going to be there, then I feasibly cannot.
Yeah.
That makes sense. That makes sense.
So what do you do in New York? Are you go to college in New York?
Yeah, I go to college. So I definitely try to balance the schoolwork with music and all of that.
Mhm. It's kind of like a Hannah Montana life.
Yeah, no, literally exactly. I posted a TikTok that was like a day in my life, and one of my friends commented IRL Hannah Montana. I'm like, that's so true.
Yeah, no, literally. I love
Are you
it.
going to school for music or you have a completely different major you're focusing on as well?
Yeah, I'm studying poli-sci, but I'm taking some music courses. Like this semester, I'm taking Intro to Digital Music, so I'm kind of learning a bit more about the production side of music and kind of how to produce songs. But that's not part of my major because the music major here is very like classical music theory heavy, which is not super what I'm into.
Okay. So like do you want to produce your own stuff or are you just learning it because it's a fun class to do while you're in college?
Yeah, I love working with other producers, but I think it'd also be super helpful if I kind of had more knowledge of production because I mean, I know like the basics, but I can't really show somebody what I have in mind like right now with my current skill set. I just use like GarageBand and I just like have my little keyboard and all that, but it's not the same. So I definitely want to get better at production. And maybe someday I'll be at the level where I can like produce all my own music. That'd be pretty cool.
That'd be amazing. That's like such a girl boss like thing to do.
So tedious to sit there and like clip everything together perfectly and seamlessly. Like I could not sit there for hours and do that. So that's amazing that you're learning it because I probably couldn't even learn it right now and sit down and focus on it.
Time commitment for sure.
Do you have like a favorite like person or no, not a favorite, a dream collab that you would do for music?
Yes, I have one. This is always the one I see. So hopefully I'm not like jinxing it for myself. But I love Conan Gray. He doesn't do many collaborations, so I don't know. But he's like one of my favorite artists. I love his songwriting style, and I think our songwriting styles are pretty similar, but also distinct enough where a collaboration would make sense. So manifesting that it happens one day.
Just
Yes.
cross you on that one.
If you manifest it and put it out into the universe and work hard, you got it, girl. Like Conan Gray times Kacey. Let's see it. So is Conan Gray like your favorite artist, or do you like who are some of your favorite like artists?
I listen to so much music, TBH, but I love Conan Gray. I love Lorde. Lorde's a big one. I listen to a lot of Gracie Abrams, Sabrina Carpenter, just a lot of like the pop girlies. But I also listen to like rap and like hip hop and R&B and kind of like different genres and also like more classic rock. Lately I've been listening to the Smiths and Jeff Buckley a lot. And I also love Childish Gambino and Eminem. Those two are like always on like all my playlists. So it's kind of like a variety, but I'd say that I'm very much inspired by the pop artists I listen to most in terms of my own style.
Yeah.
So do you have a favorite? So I'm trying to get into like knowing more music of R&B. Do you have
Yeah.
a favorite R&B song that you would suggest for other people to listen
Um,
to?
I'd say that SZA is honestly kind of just like the best gateway into R&B because she kind of combines pop and R&B in a way that's very unique to her. She's just so talented. She's an incredible vocalist, incredible songwriter.
Do you have like a dream venue that you want to like perform in?
Yes, I do. I love the Greek Theater in LA. It's so beautiful. I love the fact that it's outdoors and it's just an amazing venue. It's beautiful, amazing sound system. I've seen great artists there, so manifesting that as
Yes,
well.
you got this.
Do you go to a lot of concerts? Like as a like musician, do you go and look at the concerts not as like a fan standpoint of like how they're performing and what the show looks like almost?
Yeah, I actually do. I kind of like think of like the sound. I'm like, oh, like the drums are like too loud in this song. They need to like add more
vocals or like whatever. But when it's like my favorite artist, obviously like I'm just like having fun and singing along. But I definitely do kind of analyze the show. And also I like before my performances I look up like performers that I like Sabrina Carpenter. I think she's an amazing live performer. I was like watching footage of her live performance. I was like, this is like studying basically.
Taking a break from talking with Kacey, we have something exciting for you this week.
We are giving away a prom dress from Prom Party, and the dress is valued at over $500.
Here are the rules. Subscribe to Star Confessions Podcast and Prom Party Shop on YouTube.
Make sure to follow all of us on Instagram and TikTok at Star Confessions Podcast, Prom Party Shop, Maddy_Lee_Ann, and Makayla._Andrews.
The winner will be announced on the next episode, so make sure you save this podcast and enter that giveaway.
Like latest release. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, so my latest release is a song called Never Reply, which is very petty. The lyrics are very sarcastic. I don't know, I think it's a really funny song because when we walked into the studio, I worked with Sam Beresford and Michael Cameraman, who are both in amazing bands, Small Pools and Winnetka Bowling League. And we were kind of like talking about the songs that I've been writing. And I was like, they're all like really sad. Let's write a happy song. So we're like, okay, we're going to write this happy song. We had this like crazy upbeat guitar. We are like, this is amazing. And then I was just like, the first lyric I wrote was, I wish I could say, I wish you the best, but that'd be a lie. And I was like, wait, this is kind of fun. And they're like, that's not happy. I'm like, but it's like happy enough. It's kind of like sarcastic, petty, ironic. And we were joking like, oh, it's really funny because it's basically saying like, I didn't cry when we said goodbye. I don't care about you. But then I'm like writing a whole song about it basically. So the song definitely evolved from its original message.
So like, how do you do like your songwriting process? Like, so you said you go into a studio with like other people and write it?
Yeah, it really depends on the song. Like for Never Reply, for example, I walked into the studio with like no ideas at all. I was just like, we're gonna come up with something in these couple of hours and we're just gonna deal with whatever we make, basically. But then other times I'll write like an entire song on my guitar, on like my piano, and then I'll show it to a producer and then I'll like see what they can add to it and if we want to continue working on it. So it really depends on the song. Self-Sabotage and Vegas are both songs that I largely wrote on my own before showing it to anybody. And then I brought it to a collaborator and we worked on it together.
Wow, that's so cool.
Oh, sorry, go ahead. I keep running over. It's so hard.
You go.
I was gonna say, like, so before you go into the studio, do you have any like mental preparations and also like voice preparations you do before going to record a new song?
Yeah, it also really depends. I do like warm-ups and stuff before we actually start recording. But when it's kind of like a writing/recording session, sometimes I'll have an idea in mind, or sometimes I'll have like an inspiration track where it's like, oh, I really love the instrumental on this one song. And maybe we can have something with a similar vibe. But honestly, I feel like when I go into co-writing sessions, it works better for me to have an open mind, especially since Sam and Michael, for example, they're very like instrument based since they're incredible at their instruments and they're very based in like the rhythm and the guitar part and the key part. So it kind of gives me more freedom over the lyrics. So it kind of is a creative process where we can all like build on each other's ideas.
I've never done anything with music, so I like respect you guys so much for that. That's like so cool. And just like hearing about the process is like crazy. Like I feel like I could never go into a studio and just like write a song. Like that's amazing.
It's scary, especially when it's with new people, but it's very rewarding when you come up with something that everyone's proud of.
Yeah.
I feel like for me, when I go into the studio, like I have to have everything like mapped out, so organized, so perfect. I write things at night. Like it'll be 1 a.m. I'll get home. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is a genius idea.
Yeah.
Then I like fully have a whole mapped out the whole song, and then I bring it to like the producer and go record it. I can imagine just walking in and just letting ideas just flow. I bet it's fun, but I would be a little bit stressed.
Yeah, I feel like for me, it's always either one or the other. Like if I have an idea and it's like half developed, then I don't want to show it to anybody until like I fully develop it. But then if I go in with like no ideas and just kind of let whatever happens happens, then it also kind of works. But like I don't know, I get really scared about showing people ideas, especially if I really like them. If I'm like, this isn't perfect yet.
Yeah.
You want to put your best foot forward always. Do you have anything that you're working on currently? I know you just released a song, but do you have any new things coming up?
Yeah, I'm working on a lot of new music. I have an EP, Nostalgia Haunts Me, that is coming out very soon. I have not announced a release date yet, but that will be coming forth very, very soon. So I'm super excited about that.
Oh my gosh, that's so exciting. Do you play any instruments?
Yeah, I play guitar and piano, but I'm not that great at them. I like try to warn people. I'm like, I'm not going to be playing like Mozart and the keys or anything. It's
Mhm.
just I kind of know the basic theory. I know like chord progressions and stuff like that, so I can write songs using them. But singing is definitely my main thing. I just kind of use them as accompaniments.
Cool. And then
Do
are there any instruments like you would want to play in the future or learn how to?
I really want to learn how to play the drums. I think that'd be so cool.
Yeah, no, I could totally see you like on stage, like just playing the drums, like
Yeah,
singing your heart out. That'd be so cool.
no, that'd be amazing. That's my goal. I've been actually thinking about that a lot recently. I'm like, where can I learn to play the drums?
YouTube. YouTube has everything. I'm sure
Very true.
Yeah.
you like what was I gonna say? Oh, do you play and sing at the same time for your shows? Or do you have a band with you?
Yeah, I play with a band. That's actually something that I want to do in one of my upcoming shows where I'll play a song on the guitar and kind of have it more acoustic, stripped back. But for me, it's kind of scary because when I play guitar and sing, something gives. It's like the performing, singing, and guitar, like all three are like different skill sets. So it's like if I'm focused on guitar and singing, then like my stage presence isn't that great. But if I'm like focusing on singing, then maybe the guitar isn't that great. It's kind of tough, but I think I'm gonna keep practicing because I really want to do that. I love when artists at their shows just bring out a guitar and kind of have a more stripped back acoustic emotional performance for a song or two.
Yeah. Do you ever get like nervous before you go on stage or are you like, oh, I got this, like confidence?
I used to get like really, really nervous. Um, but honestly, I think I've kind of gotten over it. Obviously, there's still a little bit of like jitters right before I step on stage. But I think for a large part, I've gotten over the nerves, which is really good because I was like so scared of performing live for a while. But then during the pandemic, I couldn't perform for so long and I like really missed it. So then when I started doing live performances more often and I started actually playing 30-minute long sets with like 10 songs instead of like before I do like one or two songs, it kind of made me get over that fear like very easily.
Yeah. How often do you like go out and perform?
I've done I think 5 shows with a full band since last March, and that was when I first started playing shows with the band. And I've done like a couple of like smaller acoustic things in between, but I think like 5 like pretty big shows.
Cool.
Are you working up? So right now you're saying you're doing 30-minute sets. Are you like slowly working on like adding more things to your set list to make it like an hour long or longer than 30?
Yeah.
That's the
Yeah, I
goal.
think it definitely depends on like the venue because a lot of venues for like kind of like emerging artist type things, it's like 30 minutes. But I mean, I would love to have the stage for an hour and just like yap about my songs and play them. That'd be a lot of fun.
Yeah. So where did you like find your band? Like, were you friends with them before or did you like post like an open call? Like, how did you find them?
Yeah, so the band I play with in LA, I met everyone through my bass player who actually used to be my guitar teacher. So I met everyone through that, which was really cool. And then the band that I play with in New York, I don't, there was this one guy who I kind of knew, and he was in New York, and he was like, when I first got here, he was like the only musician that I like sort of knew in New York. So I like met up with him and we were talking, and he was like, oh, if you ever need recommendations for a band, like let me know. And I was like, okay, kind of do. So he sent me to this guitarist and the guitarist like Loki had no idea how he knew that guy, which is really funny. But I did an acoustic gig with the guitarist, and then for my most recent show in New York, I was like, kind of need a full band. So I got them all through the guitarist, which was very cool because they all go to NYU together and they're all extremely talented because they're all like jazz musicians. So they were really amazing and it was awesome.
That's amazing.
Them before going like on stage.
Oh, what'd you say?
Practice time with them before going on stage.
Yeah, we definitely practiced. We were working on a very expedited timeline, so we had like a week and a half before the show. Um, but we did 2 rehearsals and luckily they are super talented and were able to pick things up like really fast because I was a little worried about that. But no, they're amazing. So we didn't need more practice, luckily. Yeah, it was great.
No, that's so good. That's good to hear.
Do you have
Okay,
anything like a, oh, sorry.
go, go, go. Yeah.
Okay. Do you have like a pre-show like ritual or like an after show ritual of like what you do?
Honestly, people have asked me this before, and I'm like, I kind of don't really have anything specific. I make sure to drink a lot of water before the show. Usually the day of the show, I listen to "Till I Collapse" by Eminem because that's a really like motivating song, but like usually not right before. I go to the bathroom before I go on stage, very important. And I'll also like do a quick vocal warm up. But other than that, nothing too crazy. After the show, I always have so much adrenaline though. So like if my friends are there, I'll like run up to them and I'll like hug them and we'll like take photos and just like have a good time. But honestly, nothing too specific, nothing too crazy. I wish there was something unique or interesting I did, but honestly, just usually get dinner after.
You're just going with the flow. That's perfect.
Yeah.
Not a bad thing. Okay, do you want to move on to some like off the wall questions now?
Yeah.
I'll start it off. If you could live anywhere in the world, where would you be?
I think I would love to live in Italy. I visited last summer and it's absolutely amazing. And I think that living somewhere in Europe would also be so great because then you could travel other places in Europe super easily.
Where in Italy did you go?
I went to Rome, Florence, and Venice. And if I
Hey.
had to pick one to live, I'd probably pick Florence, even though Venice was my favorite, but like it's not super like feasible to live there with all
Yeah,
the water.
that's so cool. What is your favorite subject in school or like favorite class you're taking right now in school?
My favorite subjects through high school was always like everything history related, which kind of makes sense because I'm a poli-sci major now. But I think my favorite class that I've ever taken is probably a class I took last semester called University Writing. And it's a required class for everyone at my school to take, but it was so good because I genuinely felt like I grew so much as a writer, which is crazy because I was like, I don't like writing essays, but I feel like my teacher just did an amazing job at kind of helping us step by step write a effective essay.
I guess you already said you went to Italy, but what was your favorite trip you've ever taken, if it wasn't that Italy trip?
Probably that Italy trip, but aside from that, I went to Alaska one summer a couple years ago on like a cruise, and it was amazing. I honestly never would have picked Alaska, but my grandparents really wanted to visit, and I was like so pleasantly surprised. It's absolutely beautiful, and it was during the summer, so it wasn't super warm because it's Alaska, but it was like not freezing cold. And I got to do zip lining. I got to visit a wildlife sanctuary, got to kind of visit the smaller towns. It was beautiful.
I went on a cruise to Alaska and we had just learned about the Titanic in school, and then I went directly on the Alaskan cruise and I was petrified. Like I would
Oh
not
my
leave my
God.
parents' side. I was like in fourth grade.
That is really unfortunate
Yeah, it was
timing.
such bad timing.
Yeah.
Like when you're on a cruise to say Titanic. Is that a thing?
I don't know. I was saying it a lot on that cruise because I was scared.
Yeah, the last cruise that I went on, the dining area looked like the Titanic. So me and my friend were joking, like, oh, the Titanic. And all the workers were like, don't
Really?
say
Oh my God.
Like, sorry.
me, dude.
That's so scary.
But I have not been to Alaska. I like to go to warmer places. Was it warm when you went, Makayla, or no?
No, it was like the dead of winter.
Oh my God. That's rough.
I mean, at least that's what I remember from it. It could have been like in June. I have no idea. But I think it felt like the dead of winter.
Fun.
Yeah. Okay,
Um,
next question. Are you an introvert or extrovert?
I'm definitely an introvert. I really love spending time alone. And for me, I tend to like really value friendships that are people that I connect with on a deeper level rather than having like a ton of like surface level friendships. But I mean like I can be an extrovert. Like if I go to an event or like I go somewhere where there's a lot of people and I want to be socializing, I can like force myself to socialize. But I definitely like having kind of like alone time to recharge.
I think that's perfect. I'm the same way. Same way.
I
If you could eat one meal for the rest of your life, what would it be?
Okay, I don't know if you guys know the restaurant Din Tai Fung, but it is like the best food ever. It's Taiwanese cuisine, and it's insanely good, like genuinely so amazing. And the meal I get there is this delicious cucumber salad with spicy sauce, these spicy vegan noodles, and garlic green beans. It's the best food ever, and I would like genuinely eat. I would just eat those green beans for every single meal, like genuinely.
That sounds so good.
That sounds good.
Okay, and then last off the wall question is what is your favorite color?
My favorite color is red, as my shirt may suggest, but I've
Oh,
always just loved
right now.
red.
Like the color of the year is red.
Very true.
Okay, so now we're gonna do a speed round of questions. So Maddie's gonna have the timer, and I'm gonna ask you some questions, and we're gonna see how fast you can answer them.
Okay.
It's a little challenge. Okay.
Okay, I'm ready when you are.
Okay, ready?
3, 2, 1, go.
Sweet or spicy?
Sweet.
Cake or cupcakes?
Cupcakes.
Ice cream or popsicles?
Ice cream.
Pizza or pasta?
Pasta.
Waffles or pancakes?
Pancakes.
Dogs or cats?
Cats.
City or country?
City.
Flying or driving?
Flying.
Instagram or TikTok?
TikTok.
Board games or video games?
Board games.
Watching sports or playing sports?
Playing sports.
Messy or tidy?
Messy.
Calling or texting?
Calling.
32 seconds.
I think that's our new
Okay.
That's, I
Oh
think,
my
so,
god.
I think the
Yay.
last with Brinley was like 40 seconds.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh my
That's
gosh.
Wait.
Good job. Yay.
Thanks, guys. Record holder, I guess.
Okay, so that's wrapping up our podcast interview. So thank you guys so much for listening to our interview with Kacey. And where can we find you on socials?
Thank you guys for having me. You can find me on all social media at Kacey Fifield, spelled Kaceyfifield.
Amazing. And you can follow our podcast, Star Confessions, at Star Confessions Podcast on all platforms.